Hello, I'm Jim Bratton. Today I want to talk about safety during highway demolition operations. Whatever your job is, you will be exposed to many hazards, including falls from heights, falling objects, uneven surfaces, collapse of existing structures, and traffic. Compounding these hazards is the fact that there is pressure to complete demolition of bridges and structures on road projects so that traffic can reopen. This causes everyone to hurry, creating even more opportunity for accidents. We will discuss demolition operations in the context of Focus 4+1 hazards. Focus 4+1 hazards: falls, struck-bys, caught-in-betweens, electrocutions, and soft tissue injuries. We will also explain methods of controlling these hazards so that you will be prepared to do your job safely and help eliminate risk to you and to your coworkers. Falls in demolition operations are most likely to occur as a result of a slip or trip while working on uneven or partially removed surfaces, or tripping or slipping over materials or debris, or slick surfaces. Often, workers performing demolition work tear down the very place they are standing, increasing the risk of falls. Workers may also fall from vehicles or equipment, especially while mounting and dismounting. All falls, even falls from level ground, can be serious. Slips and trips may result in contusions, fractures, and even fatalities. One of the greatest struck-by hazards in demolition is the risk of being struck by construction vehicles. Heavy equipment is used in many demolition projects, and workers often need to be in close proximity. In many instances, accidents happen when equipment operators don't see the workers on foot, or when workers step into the path of moving equipment. Unfortunately, this happens much too often on road construction projects. Besides vehicle hazards, demolition workers risk being struck by falling or flying debris. Even small pieces of material can strike the eye, causing permanent damage. A major caught-in hazard in demolition operations is exposure to rotating or moving parts on equipment. Many times a crusher plant will be set up adjacent to the demolition process, creating an additional exposure to belts, crushing equipment, trucks, and loaders. Workers may also be struck by backing trucks and caught between the truck and other equipment or stationary object. Workers in demolition risk exposure to electrical shock when using electrical equipment, such as portable crushers and generators. If the equipment is not grounded properly or poorly maintained, the worker may be electrocuted. Other electrical hazards include the danger of equipment striking an overhead power line or underground utilities. Demolition work requires moving heavy parts, pick and shovel work where equipment can't reach, and walking on uneven ground. All of these actions may strain or sprain shoulders, elbows, knees, and ankles. Jumping off equipment and landing in uneven dirt can damage ankles and knees. Demolition workers may rush and take shortcuts, which invariably results in sprain and strain injuries. The hazards we've just discussed, falls, struck-bys, caught-in-betweens, electrocutions, and soft tissue injuries can be prevented in demolition operations. Key to prevention is the hierarchy of hazard controls, including engineering controls, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment, in that order. For example, engineering controls used to reduce fall exposure include providing adequate lighting, placing guardrails around open or removed areas, ensuring that truck and equipment steps are in place and in good condition, and using steps with non-skid surfaces. For struck-by hazards, providing proper methods of traffic control, and backup alarms or proximity warning devices on construction equipment can reduce hazard exposure to workers on foot. Good housekeeping in the work zone will reduce the potential for dangerous flying objects. Caught-in-betweens, another serious hazard in demolition, may be prevented by proper guarding of rotating equipment. Caught in between hazards may also be controlled by securing temporary structures and items to be removed. Electrical exposures may be reduced by locating overhead and underground power lines before using equipment in the vicinity, and proper grounding of tools and equipment. Administrative controls focus on implementing safe work procedures, such as traffic control to separate workers on foot from workers on equipment, and worker rotation and relief schedules so that no one performs the same job for too long a period. Administrative controls also emphasize using safe work practices to avoid potentially hazardous exposures. To prevent falls, be careful when walking on muddy, wet, or icy surfaces, and watch your step when walking on irregular ground. When climbing on or off a truck or construction equipment, use the steps and handholds if available. To prevent struck-by incidents, always be aware of your surroundings and watch for moving equipment. Use spotters when working around backing equipment or overhead power lines. Observe approaching vehicles, especially pickups, for loose articles that may become dangerous projectiles. Avoid caught-in-between injuries by not removing or altering safety guards on any machinery or equipment. Keep your hands away from pinch points on machines and equipment. Make an effort to stay physically fit. Perform pre-work stretching exercises to help protect yourself from soft tissue injuries. Avoid poor posture and using awkward positions for any length of time. Change positions frequently. Use proper lifting techniques and take advantage of mechanical equipment to move heavy objects. The final method of hazard control in the hierarchy of controls is personal protective equipment. When you're working on a road construction site, always wear basic protection: sturdy boots with slip-resistant soles, hard hat, and high-visibility clothing. Wear eye, face, and head protection to prevent injuries from falling or flying objects. If you do a lot of lifting and carrying, wear gloves and shoulder pads. Knee pads can be helpful too if you're spending a lot of time working on the ground. Wear metatarsal protection when operating a jackhammer. When at elevations, always wear a personal fall arrest system. Inspect the equipment before use. Be sure that you're trained properly to use PFAS. Demolition operations can expose workers to many hazards: falls, falling objects, moving vehicles and equipment, and collapsing structures. By paying attention to controls for maintenance of traffic, as well as the safe work practices discussed in this program, you can help avoid injury and improve safety and productivity in your workplace. Remember, wherever and whenever you're working, do your best to stay safe. It's part of your job, and you owe it to yourself and your family.